G'day there, ladies and gents of the internet. I am the Braveheart Aussie and welcome to a journey in world building. And it's time to dive deep back into another setting within the Dark Diaspora after last week's randomly generated setting. And this time the votes in the poll on YouTube have definitely broken in favour of the tidally locked world with its narrow twilight band of habitability, the planet of Ruscon. Now, let me start by saying that I've decided to change the characteristics of this setting from a moon to that of a planet. The reason I've decided to do this is because the defining feature of this setting, being that of the narrow band of habitability around the Terminator between the day and night sides of the tidally locked world, only works if it is a planet around a star. In fact, the world of Koton, which we've already explored in this project, is a tidally locked moon, but because it's in orbit around a planet, that created sufficient variation to juxtapose a day-night cycle, which is not going to be the case here on Ruscon. So, with that out of the way, let's get into the key facts and technical attributes of the world. Ruscon is located in the southwest quadrant of the Diaspora. While maintaining loose trade relations with the Fringe World Alliance, it maintains its character as an independent world. However, it has its strongest links with the nearby world of Saha, forming a small cluster of moderately socioeconomic trade and culturally intensive activity in the southern parts of the Diaspora. Ruscon is the third of 6 rocky planets within the system of Vera. The others include Tatiana, Julia, Ipativ, Prokopiev, Morozov, and Kozlov. There are no asteroids in the system, however there is a large Oort cloud and Kuiper belt, resulting in higher than average water content within the geochemical composition of the system. The star, Vera Prime, is a red dwarf, resulting in the entire planetary system fitting within the orbit of Mercury around Old Sol. However, the star is also very small and has low levels of radiation and luminosity. Ruscon is the only planet within the star's habitable zone, supporting the maintenance of liquid water on its surface. Because of the proximity of the planet to the star, and its long life estimated at 9.5 billion years at the time of the Diaspora, Ruscon is tidally or grav-locked to the star. This means one side of the planet is permanently oriented towards the star, while the opposite side is permanently in darkness. This eliminates the concept of a day-night cycle on the planet, instead creating a synchronous rotation. The concept of tidally locked habitable worlds has been the subject of research discussions and even science fiction in the past, in part because they break the existence of the day-night cycle, which is central to our way of life, biology, evolution, and some would argue our very existence. As such, life that evolves and lives on a tidally locked planet is likely to be incredibly different to that of a cyclical planet like Lost Earth, which opens up tremendous storytelling opportunities. Now, conventional wisdom tells us that a tidally locked world would be crushed somewhere between a hard-baked day side and a frozen night side, with an incredibly small band of habitability around the Terminator between the two. However, the reality likely depends on a number of factors. Firstly, the existence of a thick atmosphere would assist to create strong convection currents between day and night sides of the planet, analogous with trade airflows on Earth. In this case, the heat on the day side would see the air rising sharply into the atmosphere, cooling as it radiates away heat and condensing water content, resulting in near continual precipitation at high levels of cloud cover. This combination of air and weather factors would have the effect of somewhat ameliorating the extreme temperatures on the day side, particularly in concentric rings further towards the Terminator, or the point of endless twilight. However, if the water content of a planet's atmosphere is too high, this could also result in the creation of a runaway greenhouse effect, analogous with that of Venus. As such, while Ruscon has oceans, most of the moisture sits within swamp-like shallow biomes on the day side, and larger oceans on the night side, with some moderate ocean and water flows impacting heat transfers. This air and water flows would also have an impact on the side which is in perpetual dark, as the contrasting atmospheric downdrafts on the night side would create an opposing circulation flow and draw in higher altitude warm air from the day side, resulting in large cyclonic and hurricane-like storms with torrential rainfalls that would have the effect of heating the planets on that side. Even with these factors, however, it's likely that 100-mile radius area directly aligned with the star on the day side would sustain temperatures in excess of 70 to 75 degrees Celsius all year round, while similar, albeit negative, extreme temperatures on the diametrically opposite side of the planet would also be recorded. However, with flows of heat across the planet, it is likely that the Terminator band around the equator, with a width of around 100 to maybe 250 miles, could maintain human life. Now, that doesn't mean that life wouldn't, however, otherwise be abundant across the entire planet. In fact, Ruscon was identified in the Primer Codex as potentially habitable planet and was subject to significant early Wave 1 and Wave 2 scattering colonization attempts because of the biosignatures in the atmosphere. However, life on Ruscon is governed by the cycles and flows of the planet that do not include a day-night cycle. The movement of energy across the world by air and by sea, coupled with the thick atmosphere and protective magnetosphere, resulted in an above-average share of migratory flying animals, for example. The lower gravity, which is around half of Earth, saw the evolution of large membrane sac shell-configured flying creatures, like living gossamer balloons similar to jellyfish, but in the air, travelling across the planet using major air currents and winds. They lack wings, but take in and expel gas to propel themselves and orient themselves and their bodies within wind streams to shape themselves to create directional drag. Most of these creatures consume seeds and spores given off by plant analogues on the planet, particularly those in more tropical life-bearing biomes that rely on a form of biological heat exchange to fuel their sedentary terrestrial energies. The extreme nature of the temperature changes across the world would also typically see the unique region-specific concentric circle biomes form around the planet. Deserts and broken mesas would be closest to the star's apogee point, surrounded by vast swamplands, tropical-style forests, and finally more temperate, albeit incredibly undulating and damp prairie grounds in the twilight Terminator. In contrast, the biomes of the night side would transition from subarctic tundras and woodlands into fjordlands, and then finally to large glaciers with permanent ice caps, large ocean icebergs, and a vast under ice cap ocean biome. More spatially oriented distribution of biomes would also see the adoption of circular migratory patterns within, but not necessarily across, the biomes. Animals may include eel-like amphibious animals, which are relatively common, and a semi-nomadic plant-animal hybrid analogue representing a sort of macroalgae ranging in size from size of grains of rice all the way up to like large cows, and this would be the most dominant form of life. These hybrid animal plant species, along with most life on the planet, wouldn't use photosynthesis, but instead would use their bodies as a form of heat exchange vessels through a combination of radiation, evaporation, and convection methods, as well as the consumption of biological matter for more traditional plant analogues to supplement their diets. In many ways, macroalgae functions as like the ground version of the gossamer balloon creatures, with plants often taking advantage of their mobile nature to implant in them seeds that they can later be dropped off in other locations, creating something of an integrated biosphere across the planet. And ladies and gentlemen, that is where we're going to leave it here. There's been a lot to explore so far, and even more when we talk about the society as well as the impact that a lack of day and night cycle has on human psychology and physiology over many generations. If you've enjoyed this video and are looking forward to this new setting, make sure you leave a like on this video and subscribe. We're actually just hit 65,000 subscribers on the channel, and I'm hoping that we can maybe even get to 100,000 sometime this year. I'm aiming for around August, September, so definitely going to be putting on the subscriber boost coming into the next few months. Also, make sure you leave a comment, ask any questions on this or any of the other settings or concepts that we've had explored to date. Engagement like that is always welcome, and I love being able to talk to new people. But that is it for today. Thank you so much. Hope you all had a wonderful day, and may the journey continue. Hey!